pitches, and I'm like, okay, they're down 5-2 now. Okay, I got to go do some other things, and then woke up and started watching the highlights. I'm like, oh, what? They lost that game. When the Marlins came back and won, so they're energized. I think the moves are great. Josh Bell, like you said, if he gets hot, ooh, those 2 months before the trade deadline, I mean, he was in fuego, and he can carry a ball club, and they're fun, and they have flexibility. A lot of guys that are really good players and are good spots, and they got really, really good starting pitching. And I seen they just sent Cabrera down. That's a ace waiting in the wings in the minor league. So they got some good arms too. Let's not forget how good their pitching is.
Yeah, and if you look at the wild card standings right now, the Marlins and the Brewers are tied for a spot because the Reds currently have the NL Central back. So it's San Francisco, although they did absolutely nothing at the trade deadline. I think that's going to hurt them. Then you have Philadelphia, who I think is going to take off. And then it's Miami and Milwaukee tied right now. Arizona's 1 game out. Brock's Cubs are 2.5 games away. And don't sleep on the Padres, 4 games out. I know you're watching, Jonesy. They shellacked the Rockies.
They're coming. They're coming.
Yeah, I think so too. I think so. They did small moves, but just sending the message like we're not tearing this all down this year. We're gonna keep going for it.
Sometimes those small moves though are the big ones, right? Like it's not always the big dog coming in, the Verlanders coming in. I mean, in 2018 we got Steve Pearce, and he ended up winning World Series MVP for us. So it's not always those big moves. We had JD, we had Mookie leading the charge, but you add a piece here, a piece there, and those guys fit in. They can really help you down the stretch.
Oh, Jonesy lit awesome, up. That's bro. Your boy, right?
Pierce. He's the man.
Pierce, he's fearless. That
fearless.
Guy, he wants to hit in any big moment. We had him playing second base and then left field and then first base. He just said, just put me in the lineup and just put something next to my name. I don't care. That's Steve Pierce.
He came over that year, bro, and he was on fire. Like, I think his second game with us, we're playing the Yankees. He hits 3 homers, and then he's just barreling everything. And then the World Series, you couldn't get him out, dude. He was hitting game-tying homers. He was hitting go-ahead, bases-clearing doubles. Like, it was wild, dude. It was awesome.
That's my dude. Big hits. He's had some really big hits for us, too, in Baltimore. So, a lot of respect for my guy, Pierce.
And he's got some immaculate grid love. We'll get to that later. We're going to play later on. So let's move to the Angels getting beat up by the Braves. And it's just a tough one. Hey, a lot of people have been beat up by the Braves this year. But it's tough, Jonesy, when one of the big acquisitions, Lucas Giolito, gives up 9 runs in 3 2/3 against that Braves offense. Like, when you trade for a starter like Lucas, there aren't that many games left for him to pitch in, right? How many more starts is he going to make for the Angels the rest of the season? Maybe 8-ish, something like that. So when you have one where he just gets completely beat up, it starts to make you look and say, should we have done this?
And it's great. They need all the starts to be good for him too, because he's going into free agency. So this is an audition for every other team and putting them in a race. But it just goes back to it's the Angels, man. Trust me, I love them. I love the grit of them. They could have rebuilt the whole thing.
You would have done it, right?
48 hours ago, they could have rebuilt the whole thing, and then brought him back. He's not like he's leaving. It's not like he's going to get up and leave his place in Newport. You know what I mean? But again, you're going against the Braves. You're going against the Braves. It doesn't matter.
No, I know. But I'll give you – did I ask you this question yesterday, Jonesy, and then I'll ask it to Brock. So if you're Shohei Ohtani, forget about – he's going to get paid, right? Forget about the money and everything else for a moment. If you're with the Angels and you just gave up what little prospects you had left, and then I come to you in the offseason and they don't end up making the playoffs, and I go, hey, we'd love to have you. Aren't you looking around being like, is this going to be more of the same? Because you guys just kind of mortgaged everything to go for it. We didn't make the playoffs. So I know it's hard to talk a guy into coming back once you trade him, but they're not going to have a strong case either way.
Man, the Yankees talk Chapman to coming right back.
Yeah.
They say, look at Poppy, go win a World Series, come back. We got a whole new reloaded team. Now, they still didn't win when he came back, but they convinced him to come back. I mean, I think the same thing can happen in that situation because he loves it there. It's comfort there. And who doesn't want to play with Mike Trout and Rendon in Southern California? But at the end of the day, you want to win. And, the team up the road is the guy, perennial winners, like championship, like we were talking with Muncie yesterday, championship mode, not just let's get to the playoffs. fight for a wild card. No, that's not how the team up the road is. So he wants as you get older, you just want to win. Brock, you got to win a championship. I'll envy the hell out of that. And that's the ultimate of this whole entire game is to win. They could have revamped and told Trout, look, we're gonna trade him and get a bunch of guys, but convince him to come back because we're gonna help you too. We might go and get a young center fielder and move you to right to get you off of your legs. Let you start to breathe a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, you had the biggest chip in baseball, right? And I mean, like you said with Chapman, I think with the Yankees, it was easier to convince him to come back based off of I feel like they were a little bit more retooled for the future. I think Judge was young, Sanchez was doing big things at the catcher position at the time. They had a lot of young guys that were going to help that team in the future. The Angels is tough for me. Yeah, I mean, it's hard to speak, obviously, for Ohtani. He may just love it there, and the winning isn't the main thing. I mean, like you said, AJ, everybody wants to win. That's the ultimate goal. But you had a chance to do something pretty special for your organization, for your team, and like you said, have a chance to bring him back after getting players back. So, I mean, it was a tough situation. I don't envy having to make that decision, but they stuck with it, and they're gonna ride it to the end.
Hey, Brock, I'm going to go right to you because we heard from Jonesy yesterday on this, and we'll get some insight from Ken Rosenthal, who wrote about it. Eduardo Rodriguez is a former teammate of yours, and he was asked about his decision not to go to the Dodgers. We also have his line from his agency, too, put out a statement, his agent saying, that's why we negotiated this. So let me get your take on what you think of what Erod decided to do and not go to the Dodgers, and also what's he like as a dude?
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, if it was me making the decision, I would probably choose the Los Angeles Dodgers over the Detroit Tigers. That's just me. But like you said, I mean, that's his decision, and it's not on any of us to think poorly or any way about that decision. He got it negotiated into his contract, and it was his decision ultimately. And you don't know what's going on off the field, on the field. He's obviously comfortable there, and he put the Dodgers on that list for a reason. Eddie's great, man. He's a great teammate. He goes out and he does his job. And shoot, I know the Dodgers would have loved to have him, but for some reason he felt like he wanted to stay in Detroit with his family, and I respect him for that decision. I think Dan O'Dowd was blowing him up the other day on TV about Detroit let you do this while you were going through your family struggles and this and that, and you should have done. It's like he got that in his contract for a reason, right? Like it's ultimately his decision and his only, and his choice was to stay in Detroit. And I respect that. And as a teammate of his in Detroit, you got to respect it as well. Obviously, I'm sure the Dodgers are like, man, we would have loved to have Erod, but great pitcher. I hope nothing but the best for him, and I'm rooting for him. And I don't know what's to come in the future. He's got an opt out. I don't know what he plans on doing, but if he's as comfortable as he says, he might be staying in Detroit.
Yeah, he might not use the opt out. And also last year when he was going through what he was going through, they weren't paying him. He was on the restricted list. So it's they let him. Sure. I mean, he's allowed to leave and then just not get paid. That's what was going on. Mookie and JD texted their old teammate Erod this week to see if he was going to waive the clause. Neither of them got response before that deadline, which was answer enough. That coming from Fabian Ardea from The Athletic. And then let's also bring in what his agent said. Gene Matto said, Mato, I don't know. Tomato. I negotiated a no-trade clause in his contract for a reason. With all of the money, glamour, and fame that comes with being a professional athlete, there's also a very difficult personal side. Many players' wives and their children suffer a lot of instability in their lives, especially when their spouses got traded. Do not take that lightly. Eduardo is one of the best left-handed starting pitchers in baseball, but he's also a human being who wants stability for his family. They're comfortable living in the Detroit area and have adjusted well. As for the Dodgers in particular, once I was granted permission to speak with them regarding the trade, we did our best to come up with a way to make it happen where everyone was comfortable with the outcome. Unfortunately, We just ran out of time. So
My-
go ahead.
Yeah, my thing is like why didn't the Tigers? I don't know. I've never been in this situation. AJ, you hit 10-5, so you had that right. If I'm the Tigers, I'm going to Erod and being straight up like here's the deal. Here's what we want. Here's what we're doing. Will you do this? I don't feel like it has to get to the point where we made a trade and now we have to call and ask for your permission. Like I feel like that should have been handled before it got down to the final stages. But yeah, I'm curious, AJ, as to I'm sure there are teams that you would have preferred not to go to from Baltimore. You were comfortable there with your family, and that's just something you earn as a player. And he chose to stay put, which I completely respect.
I had a choice, but it was to Philly, and at the time, I think they were going for it. But trust me, me and Victorino was texting back and forth like, "Hey," I'm like, "What is the real deal of it?" He's like, the plan is platoon and right." I'm like, "Platoon? I'm going to free agency. I ain't a platoon. What are you talking about?" And I'm like, it didn't fit me. I was able to get more at bats. It didn't fit me. I was fortunate enough to have a 10-5. Some guys, like Longo got traded right before his 10-5 in Tampa. You don't think he wanted to stay in Tampa, comfortable, started there, taxes, and then go get shipped over to California, 13.3, baby.
Yeah, there's a lot of factors. So let's get into it with Ken Rosenthal. We'll swing right back. Also, poll question on your screen right now. You can either scan the QR code or go to watchstadium.com/foul territory. Today's poll question: where would you want to watch a game from? Monster seats at Fenway, pool in Arizona, rooftop across from Wrigley, in a kayak in McCovey Cove, or those Western Metal Supply Company seats over in San Diego. Hold it. We'll let you know when we come back what our thoughts are. Okay. I know Jonesy's got something good for us on it. Ken Rosenthal is going to join us when we swing back. Let's continue this Eduardo Rodriguez conversation. There he looks well rested. There he is. I think he got one night of good sleep. We'll get Ken in a moment.
It was a strange deadline. There was a lot of trades, but then the Yankees, right? Let's talk about the Yankees. It felt like the Yankees went out and got Kenyon Middleton just to say, hey, we made a move at the end. Like it was the last minute move. Oh, we did something, right? But where was the Yankees move that could get them into the postseason?
Can we show that tweet too while we're talking about it that I've seen on here from, and I don't know who this is, but he was very funny. Jay, jobs that are lifetime appointments: Pope, federal judge, White Sox GM, Yankees GM. Those dudes have been there. I mean, Cashman's been there forever. He's been there for like a quarter century. There's a humongous generation of Yankee fans that were not born when he took over. And then obviously, AJ, I think you emptied the tank on the White Sox yesterday, but Rick Hahn, is about to go through his $1 billion rebuild too. Rick and Kenny with him. So Kenny Williams. So I don't get it. I mean, for me also on AJ, back to the Yankees for a sec. How many years does Brian Cashman get? I mean, I know he brings them to the postseason, but when the expectations are high, I also just think in general, holding a job for 20 some odd years is just too long in baseball.
Well, you want me to go?
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, ask my high school coach. He's been there for 45 years. So the guy's been doing it for a long time. Yeah, there's a lot of question marks going on there. I mean, to figure that whole saga out, to trying to understand, who should hold a job longer, who should be there this long. I mean, you ask the fans, it's everybody wants them out. And I think it's just a lack of not moving pieces. And I think that's the biggest part as a Yankee fan, understanding you got to find ways to get new guys in there if it's not working.
And now back to foul territory.
Back on foul territory on Stadium, Braun, Jones, Holt, and now Ken Rosenthal with us. So did I lie? I mean, I heard fair territory. You said that you didn't really sleep for the days leading up and the night after. What about last night? Could you give me 6 hours last night?
Yeah, you got 6 hours last night.
Let's go.
Not much more, but yeah, I'll get back.
The over-under was at 5.5. I took the over, but it was close.
No, it takes a few days after that, but it's fine. It's fun.
Okay, well, another great column up there because we still have the trickle effect, the aftermath of everything with the trade deadline. So these guys were getting into Eduardo Rodriguez. It's been a great topic for a show like ours with all the former players. So what did you write about, and also your thoughts even to what Brock and Adam were saying, which includes Adam going, hey, I hit a time when I didn't want to go to Philadelphia because I didn't want to platoon, and taxes are a factor. There's a lot of things that go into play here, right?
No question. And what Brock said is absolutely right, that it's a negotiated right. It's in his contract, and he got it in his contract for a reason. If the sole thing here was his family and not disrupting his family, if that was it, then you cannot question it. The thing is, a couple things actually. One, the Tigers say they did talk to him before the trade was made. They were under the understanding, and they had the Dodgers under the understanding, that Eduardo Rodriguez would accept a trade to the Dodgers. And the other thing is, if it's solely about family, if that's it, well, then why are Rodriguez and his agent, Gene Mato, asking for financial and contractual enhancements to make his family more comfortable? I get it, guys, but my lesson from an early stage of my career was to follow the money. And this was certainly something where they wanted something to waive the no trade. Now, that's their right, too, to use the no trade as leverage. But apparently what they asked for, and one of the things they asked for, I reported, another year if he didn't opt out at $20 million. He already is getting 3 years at $49 million if he does not opt out. They wanted another year at 20, 4 years, 69 total if he doesn't opt out, and Dodgers just weren't willing to do that. So it's one of these things where I'm not sure exactly who is to blame and all of that. But I do say this. The Tigers ended up losers. They didn't trade him. They didn't get anything back. They will be unable to make him a qualifying offer if he leaves as a free agent. Unable to make him a qualifying offer, unable to get draft picks in return. They have to pay him the rest of the year, $4.5 million to play for a losing team. So they were big losers. The Dodgers obviously were losers. They wanted Eduardo Rodriguez, didn't get him. And while you can't call Eduardo a loser here, there are things that are going to follow him because of this. And teams are going to question, hey, why didn't he go from a last place team to, well, not a last place team, but also Ram, to a first place team when it might have been only for 2 months before he opts out? And if he's so loyal to Detroit, why isn't he just staying there? Because most likely he is going to opt out, which is also his right. So it's never just clear cut with these things. And again, I'm not exactly sure what he was told, whether he objected or whether he just preferred his agent to do the objecting on his behalf. Sometimes, guys, I would imagine that Adam and Brock could speak to this, you don't want to get into it with your front office. You'd rather your agent get into it with your front office. That's what the agent's paid to do. So I'm not exactly sure, again, what happened. But at the same time, it was an unfortunate set of circumstances, I believe, all around, because to me, it's going to hurt Eduardo in free agency. And I know the way clubs think, and they look at this kind of thing and they question, hey, what's going on there? Now, maybe that's unfair. Maybe this was solely family related, and maybe he can explain that to the clubs when he goes through the free agent process. All good. But for now, people are wondering, and that does affect him.
Ken, how you doing, man? It's been a while.
Good,
got
Adam.
the bow tie on.
Happy birthday, by the way.
Brother. I appreciate it. Trying to catch up to you. Unfortunate situation with Eduardo. Let's go to a happier situation with my O's. Did they do enough? Everyone is talking about, the best team in the American League right now. Great. They put on a great show every night. I love the move with Jack Flaherty. He's throwing today. Did they do enough in the market and get enough to go for it? Because this is their year. People talk about windows. I don't like that window. Windows now. I'm talking about this year. And the Rangers went in this year. Astros are going back, trying to go back to back, like Tom Amansky. So did my O's do enough?
The one thing, Adam, I would like to have seen them done was add another reliever. And they didn't do that. They got Fujinami from the Oakland A's, and then they got Flaherty. Good move. They had to get a starter. Their starters are, a number of them, past innings limits or approaching innings limits, places where they haven't been in their careers, and it's going to be a problem. It is a problem right now. Tyler Wells was demoted to the minor leagues. So Flaherty was a necessity. And when you got Fujinami, you addressed your bullpen in that particular way. But somebody made the point to me right after the deadline. And this was somebody in the industry, an executive. And he said, why is it that the Yankees traded for Keenan Middleton? Why did the Orioles get that guy or someone like him, another reliever? And that is something, yes, they probably should have done. Not even probably. I would say they should have done that. Make that bullpen even stronger. You need help getting to the two guys at the end, the two All-Stars, Cano and Bautista. So they came up a little short, in my opinion, but at the same time, getting a starter in this market was really difficult to do. There weren't that many quality starters out there, and there was more demand than supply. There were some teams that got shut out in that market. The Red Sox, Diamondbacks, Reds. So from that perspective, they did well. I would have liked to have seen them done or do just a little bit more.
All right, Ken, we're going from one black and orange to the other coasts with the black and orange. The San Francisco Giants not getting anything done. When they're leading the wild card right now, every team around them obviously made some moves to make themselves better. So what do you have on the Giants situation and why they didn't add?
They did bring in A.J. Pollock, who should help. He's not having a good year, but he's a veteran guy, right-handed hitter. Okay. You're right, Brock. They didn't do much at all. And in the days leading to the deadline, I kind of asked some of their people what was going on and was told Brandon Crawford and Thairo Estrada were coming off the injured list. So that would help their middle infield. They were playing rookies in the middle infield. That's not desirable in a pennant race. So they got those two guys back. They were still looking for another infielder who kind of could platoon with those two. And they had a situation where they had a little bit of a surplus of pitching in that they're bulk guys, the guys who start but sometimes are used as followers to openers. They had a surplus of them. I'm talking about Minaya and Stripling and that group. And it was possible that they would trade one of them in a market starved for pitching that we just discussed and get something else in return. Didn't do that. And yeah, you would have liked to have seen them maybe get another bat, do something somewhere, but they felt pretty good about their club. And it's interesting, guys. There were a number of teams where their inactivity really frustrated their fan bases, and I get it. I would put the Twins in that category. I would put the Reds borderline in that category. They maybe should have done more. It's kind of like what Adam was talking about with the Orioles. This is their time. But it was a thin market. That's the one thing we should note. There weren't that many quality players available, and certainly the prices for those players, in the estimation of some clubs, was too high.
Hey, Ken, on the Twins, do you think that they have buyer's remorse and they were so PTSD about the trades that they made last year where they did go for it? I give them credit, right? But they traded away assets, and you documented it well on Fair Territory, right? Cano is one of the best bullpen dudes in the league now with the Orioles. He was traded away in that Jorge Lopez trade. Spencer Steer and Christian Encarnacion Strand. I think there was still a prospect or two I'm missing, but just looking at those three alone, can you imagine what they would look like on the Twins this year?
Right, Scott. And that's a great point. I don't know if it was some combination of buyer's remorse, as you just mentioned, the trades that went awry on them last year, and what happened elsewhere in the AL Central. When you look at this, the Guardians were half game out, and they traded one of their best starting pitchers, Aaron Savali. Traded him for a guy who's going to help them in the future, Kyle Manzardo, first baseman, but he's not going to help them this year. The Tigers traded Lorenzen, went backwards. The Royals made some trades, went backwards. The White Sox made some trades, lots of trades, and went really backwards. So in my view, that dynamic, what was happening in the rest of the division, influenced what the Twins were doing, and it led to a lack of urgency. Why should we expend prospects? We're going to win the division. Now, you can argue you expend prospects to enhance your chances in the postseason and try to win the World Series. Maybe, but they didn't do that. They needed a right-handed bat. They needed more bullpen help, and they did not get it. So it's fair to question. Their position has been all season, we will only be the team we want to be and should be if our two best players, Byron Buxton and Carlos Correa, perform to their career levels. Those guys have not done that. If that happens, the Twins are fine. But it hasn't happened, and maybe you shouldn't be banking on it happening, and maybe you should have reinforced your team to ensure you were in a good place regardless of whether it happens.
Yeah, Ken. Let's
What about
go.
those socks?
Yeah, like you said, AJ. Let's go to my Sox. Okay. I'm sure you can put the Red Sox in that category as well. I mean, the Red Sox could probably go out and get Shohei Ohtani, and you'd have some fans that were a little mad that they didn't do enough to make the team better. But yeah, talk about the Red Sox. I know they got Urias from the Brewers, but they optioned him down. They've got guys coming, which should help. But give me your thoughts on the Red Sox and where they're headed.
Brock, I've got lots of thoughts on the Red Sox.
Bring them on.
First of all, I was happy to see that they didn't do what they did last year, which I thought was terrible. I did not like their deadline last year. They acquired some players. They traded Vasquez. They were caught in between. And if you were going to trade Vasquez, who was your starting catcher, then you might as well trade JD and Evaldi and get under the luxury tax line. They didn't do that. So effectively, they didn't improve enough, and they didn't go backwards enough. They didn't make a call really one way or the other. They kind of tried to thread the needle. It didn't work. This year, they didn't thread the needle or try to thread the needle. They kept their team intact. Now, I like that. I like not trading Duvall. I like not trading Paxton because this is a good club. Now, the real question is, should they have done more to enhance this team? And that is a fair question. In my view, they needed a starter. As I just said, there weren't many starters available at reasonable prices. The Red Sox wanted a controllable starter. Savali was really the only controllable starter that moved. They've got Sale coming back. They've got Whitlock and Howe coming back. They've got Trevor Story coming back at shortstop. That all will help them. One more starter. If they had done that, I feel that they really would have been in good position. Now, I did report today that they were involved in some interesting pursuits. They were one of the teams that at least checked in on Verlander. I don't know that Justin Verlander would have approved the trade to Boston when he really wanted to go back to Houston, but I checked his numbers at Fenway. They're good. They're good at most parks, of course, and that would have been something really mind-blowing to see Justin Verlander in a Red Sox uniform. I don't know that it was ever likely. I don't even know that it ever got to the point where it was a serious discussion. It doesn't seem that it did. The other thing that's interesting to me about what they were up to, they have kind of said, and players have said this, front office people have said this, Alex Cora said it, Justin Turner has meant a ton to their team this year, more than Vasquez did to last year's team. You guys know Justin. He's a leader. He is someone who brings people together, a connector, and he's also having a really good...
Introduce me to my wife.
There you go. He's also having a really good season. So you would think they're not messing around with that guy, but they were talking to Miami about a trade involving Justin Turner. Miami felt it was close. And when it didn't happen, they ultimately turned to Josh Bell and Jake Berger. But the mere fact that they were listening on Justin Turner and talking seriously about a trade involving him surprised me. Now, it's the old thing with front offices now. Every player has a value. We'll talk about any player. We'll listen. And I don't know who the Red Sox were getting back, but I imagine it was something pretty good. So that didn't happen. Probably best for the Red Sox in 2023 that it didn't happen. And I don't have a huge problem with them not doing more because I still believe they have a good team and they're going to get better when these injured players return. A little bit more help would have been preferable, always. But at the same time, I didn't want to see them deconstruct in any way, and there was a threat of that as well, obviously, if they were talking about Turner and Paxton and Duvall.
Okay, so this brings up a very big problem that I have, Ken. It's one thing if you're a team that's going, hey, I want to see how the team does for the next week, right? Like it seems like the Cubs were in that category. Okay, and then your team goes on a run and you're like, I can't sell with the way that they're playing. It's another step in my mind towards just being like stock traders when they go, ooh, what value can we get for this player? Okay, maybe we'll sell. Oh, we can't get that? Okay, now we'll maybe buy. You're like deciding your entire season on what prospect you can get for one player as the Red Sox. And it's the same thing with the Yankees. Brian Cashman's comments were hilarious. Opportunistic sellers, then they didn't get what they want. Opportunistic buyers not seeing what they want there. So they basically are just like, okay, now we're pushing in for this season. Like, that's not how this works. Do you have a problem with the way that some of these front offices are operating now based on one player's value?
I have a problem with the overall hesitancy that you see when teams are in position to win, teams that might not be expecting to be in that position. the Reds qualify, the Orioles qualify, the Diamondbacks qualify. Now, a number of these teams did buy this year, but in my mind, teams are too often hedging their bets. Well, we're not at 70% playoff odds for this year. We want to build something sustainable. No, you don't get to choose when your window opens. If your window is open, or if it cracks open like it did for the Cubs this year, in my mind, go. You need to try. And no, it might not work out, but my goodness, this is an entertainment business. You're supposed to give your fans the most compelling product you can. And too often, the GMs, whether it's out of fear, whether they're trying to impress everyone with their discipline and restraint, or whether they just outright are worried about their jobs, they hedge their bets. And that is the problem I have with the sport in general. The Yankees' situation's different. As I wrote the other day, they are a team that kind of had nowhere to go, which is damning in itself. You're the New York Yankees at the deadline, and you're really not good enough to be buyers, and you don't have good enough players to be sellers, or at least your players are not assets on the trade market. That is an incredible indictment of where the Yankees are. But in general, I would agree, Scott, teams and front offices, they don't go for it hard enough. And there were more incentives built into the CBA, the playoff format. I would like to see the sport maybe go even further.
Okay, and then one more, because during trade deadline day, you released that Max Scherzer story, and you can listen to why it came out at that very time, because I know you were sitting on it due to Max's request, right, on his comments on basically the Mets telling him that they weren't going to do much in the offseason. What are your thoughts on what he said then versus, and we'll get into it on our show later, what Steve Cohen said yesterday, which basically in my mind took one step back from what Max said, because Max said like they couldn't promise him, and you can tell this better, the aggressiveness would be there in the offseason. But Cohen's kind of saying like, oh no, we're still going to do things and we might be good next year. We might just not get the top end star player because that didn't work out for us. What did you take of the mix after what Max said?
I didn't see them as being on different pages. They were maybe saying it a different way. And Cohen basically said also, hey, what Max said is what I told him, that we're not going after upper echelon free agents. We're going to be in a little bit different place next year. Now, if you're Max, or if you're Justin Verlander, and you're hearing that, and that's not what you signed up for. You aligned with Steve Cohen because his vision was to build a winner right away. That's what you wanted. And now they're saying, well, we'll be good next year, but we're not going to be trying as hard in free agency. Now, that's a big difference in Max's mind, and perhaps in Justin's mind as well, to going in a direction that they were going in before. And that is why Scherzer was willing to waive his no-trade clause. I imagine Verlander had the same kinds of feelings about it. And if you're Steve Cohen, you're not going to sit there and say we're not trying next year, but they're certainly not trying at the same level. And that is the problem that Scherzer had with this. Whoa, you told me this and we're doing that? Then, okay, different equation. I'm willing to waive my no trade. And it's a little bit semantics. I get that. But at the same time, you're never going to see Cohen or Billy Epler, the general manager, say, we're not trying next year. We're not going to be good. But they are saying we won't have the same playoff odds entering the season. That tells you all you need to know about where they're going with 2024. And they've been pretty hoping. We're pointing more towards 2025 and 26. Whether the New York Mets should be doing that after all that they did and the things that they tried to accomplish, that's a fair question. Was this the right path? Should they have kept going? I kind of like what they did, but at the same time, let's not pretend they're not going to be at the same level next year. They're not even hiding that.
Yeah, and Mets fans, don't wish about Ohtani. Like that's not happening. Ken, great to have you on, and great work this week. Obviously, following everything that you were doing. I know it was hectic as hell, and we enjoyed all of the coverage.
Thanks, man. Thanks, Scott.
Appreciate you.
Thanks, Ken.
Ken Rosenthal's Fair Territory post-deadline special is up there. It's available now, and it's free $99. You don't pay a dime. Go to YouTube, Apple, Spotify, however you want to watch it or hear it. There's a lot there for you to absorb, okay? A full hour of trade deadline post-mortem, whatever you want to call it, aftermath from Ken. It's great stuff. We'll swing back on Stadium and talk to Taylor McGregor about Brockstar's Chicago Cubs. Will they score 20 runs a night? Find out next.
Take the over.
Awesome.
Domination of the Cleveland Guardians. To me, also, I think it was fitting that on the day of the trade deadline, when the Guardians kind of punted, right? Like they got rid of Josh Bell. They had already traded away Savali. They sold pretty hard.
Yep.
They get no hit, 2-0 by Framber, who was ridiculous. He threw his curve about half the time, but still, that's a bad offense that just got worse.
Yeah, and especially after his last start there.
Yeah.
Against the Rangers, all that craziness that went on there. One walk. I mean, that was him. That's the Framber of old, man. And he said it to himself. I feel pretty darn good right now. And that's the confidence to hear. And you think of other players, you think exact opposite, like Severino coming out for the Yankees saying, I don't know where I'm at right now. So it's all mental a little bit, and it's all the focus you put
10,
in and the work you put
9,
in. And
8, 7,
he went out there and shoved.
5,
Yeah, and I don't
4,
take too much into this
3,
quote just because I've been
2.
following him and covering for a while. Like I used to be at MLB with the Astros on the road a lot, and the quote that some people brought to attention of everyone else was, he said, I quote, I think the last couple of games I just wasn't as focused as I could have been, and I'll be the first to admit that. AJ, he is like brutally honest to a T, and he'll say like he's big on the mental component of the game and how sometimes it's just like hard for him to like, feel all the way there. Nobody, I know you guys will tell me, none of you guys can tell me that you felt the same way from a mental standpoint. He's not even talking necessarily about off the field. He's just saying like, oh, like I just felt the focus today, So that's how I look at it, because he has a mental skills coach, and he's just big on like thinking about game plan, focus, not, letting up on one pitch where, suddenly he feels like he just kind of wasn't locked in. You can speak to this way better than I can.
Well, Scott, first of all, I want to say this. Congratulations to Framber. Congratulations to Martin Maldonado also, because the catcher gets overlooked a lot of times. But you made a joke when I said Austin Hedges to the Rangers. You're like, well, the Astros have him, Martin Maldonado, right? Martin Maldonado might be the most important guy to the Houston Astros. Ask Dusty Baker why they didn't want to go get Wilson Contreras last year. And if you ask Dusty Baker, you ask an Astros guy who the most important person Martin Maldonado needs to take care of, it'll tell you Framber Valdez.
And now back to foul territory.
How we doing? Back on foul territory. Braun, Brockstar, Adam Jones. All right, so first poll question we're putting to bed, and I know you had something for us on that, Jonesy, right?
So Fenway, it's a good story. I mean, obviously it's a great historical park, but my girlfriend at the time, she came up to visit me in Boston, and I actually hit a ball that almost smoked her. At home run, obviously. I had some juice. In the tank. But yeah, I almost hit her, and then she was like, "Hey, can I get the ball? I'm dating him. I'm dating Adam." And the guy was like, "No." He's like, "Can I take a picture with him?" He was like, "Here." He's all in the picture. Like, ugh, that's Boston for you, baby.
Wow, that is cold.
Didn't give it.
That is
Didn't
cold.
Give the ball.
All right, well, most people saying either the Fenway Monster seats or the Wrigley rooftops. That's leading the way for where you'd want to catch a game. Wrigley taking a little lead. Perfect timing as we bring in Taylor McGregor from Marquee, covering Cubs, in-game, pre, post, the whole deal. Taylor, great to see you. And how you doing? Do you like Brock's shirt? Because he never played for the Cubs, but he said he's on the 2-day bandwagon.
I tried playing when I was a free agent. I texted David Ross. I said, "Hey, let me go. Let me come over." He's like, "I would love it, but it didn't work."
Yeah, we would have loved to have had you. I saw a sign last night, and it said "Bandwagon Watch," because at this time last year for the Cubs, it was Hug Watch. Because, so many guys got traded in the year before that as well. So I thought that was pretty fitting. Bandwagon watch, but hey, I'm all about the bandwagon. We want everybody on board right now. It's a fun time to be a Cub fan.
So tell us about the last 2 days and really following the trade deadline. Did you sense the team was excited that they decided not just to skip about selling, which was a talk at some point, but to actually add a guy like Candelario to help the offense?
Yeah, I think it was interesting with this team dating back to June after they came off a pretty tough May and started playing not well in June either. But there was this belief in the clubhouse of we're so much better than our record indicates. And I would have said that into really early July as well, before the All-Star break. And at that time, it seemed like the Cubs were most likely going to be sellers yet again at the deadline. But there was a fear of guys in the clubhouse, like, we still haven't had enough time to really click, and we really do feel like we're better. And then we saw what happened after the All-Star break. The Cubs just clicked and went on this roll. And I can tell you that the vibe inside the clubhouse and what they perpetuated to the media shifted quickly. And it was finally like, okay, this is a team we've believed we've had all season. Things are coming together, and now we're proving it to the front office. This is a team that can win the NL Central. And so I think after the second game against the White Sox, when the Cubs were trailing by 7, scored 8 unanswered runs, that was when I stepped into the clubhouse post game, and I was like, okay, this is different. And I think there's a real belief now that they believe the guys in the front office kind of understand what they're doing, and that they would in fact be at least holders. I said holders, but eventual buyers, and to get Candy off of the market, arguably the best bat out there, was pretty big time.
Taylor, nice to meet you. I want to talk about my guy Stroman. I was reading about his hip injury. I was slowed down by hips. They still hurt to this day. Mm-hmm. It's never something I'll ever want to hear with anybody, especially, just anybody, especially athletes. What more can you tell us about Stroman and how long it's actually going to be? Because hips can prolong themselves.
Yeah, so he said he's dealt with this at other points in his career. And so with that background and knowledge, he feels like he can come off of the IL at the end of the 15 days. We'll see, but he seems pretty confident that even with this injury, he might have only had to have missed one start, but going on the IL also allows for time to get right mechanically, because as a pitcher for him, he just said he's basically had to eliminate his lower half dealing with this hip injury. So he's gotten all out of whack mechanically. So he wants to heal up and then get right mechanically and try to be the guy who he was in the first half of the season. And the Cubs need him to be that if they're going to compete down the stretch.
Hey, Taylor, what do you think of Stroman now in the offseason potentially staying with Chicago? So, I know he hasn't pitched well lately. Now you're dealing with an injury, and he said he wants to stay. So do you think that the chances have increased? He also didn't get traded, so you stay with a ball club. Do the chances increase that either A, he decides to just not opt out, or B, maybe the Cubs try and tack something on to convince him to stay, maybe give him an extra year, something like that? It seems like there's a good fit there.
Yeah, I've really enjoyed Marcus Stroman in Chicago. He's an interesting guy, a cerebral guy, and he's been a lot of fun to have around. I don't think the chances have increased, although he hasn't had a great month. I do not think the chances have increased that he will not opt out. I still believe he'll opt out. I think he's pretty set on the money he's looking for, the years he's looking for. That could potentially change if the next 2 months are disastrous for him. But I think right now the plan is for him to opt out and again, try to get the money and years he wants. I don't know if the Cubs will offer him that. I know they have some younger arms they believe might, be able to impact the major league club. We'll see, but he's enjoyed it there, or here, I should say, and it's been a good fit for sure.
Yeah, Taylor, speaking of enjoying it there, we've got Cody Bellinger, who, if not for Ronald Acuna, may be in the MVP conversation. So my question to you is, when's the Bellinger extension? Are we talking about something? I mean, obviously he loves it there, and the fans love him, and I'm sure they would love to have him. But what are your thoughts on Bellinger and his season so far?
Well, Brock, I would have wanted a Bellinger extension about 2 weeks after spending time with him in spring training, because the guy, for being a superstar, is about as relaxed, approachable, just an amazing guy to be your star in your clubhouse. And as somebody who's a member of the media, and I have to ask a lot from Cody day in and day out, he's just been so fun to deal with. He's an incredible baseball player. He's impacted this team. Everybody's pointing to the offense, and certainly what he's doing offensively, there's reasons that people are paying attention. But I think he's allowed the Cubs offense to flourish the last 6 weeks since he got back off of the injured list because of his defensive versatility. It's allowed Mike Tauchman to get at bats in center field because Cody can slide to first base, and allowed for those platoons to, again, put the best lineup out there, the best lineup offensively. And so he's just been such a joy. He's a superstar. It's been amazing to see him kind of return to form. And I could go off on his offensive numbers, but I think what stands out to me and what's really impressed me is the numbers against lefties, better than at any other point in his career, even the MVP season. And with 2 strikes, in Major League Baseball, with 2 strikes this year, you're a dead duck. And Cody just seems to flourish in those situations. He's just consistent. He's been a ton of fun, and I would say that almost every guy in that clubhouse would say, bring the Brinks trucks. We'll leave him in his front lawn, and everybody's in on hopefully a long-term relationship between Cubs and Cody Bellinger.
Can we hear the vocals? You're singing a seventh. Can we get the vocals out?
I mean, did you listen? Did you listen to the video? Because the vocals weren't exactly there, but
yeah, there it is. They were there, and you had a duo going.
We had a duo. Thank goodness. Yeah, so I let you listen to enough there. The vocals aren't exactly there, but as long as you don't mess up the words, take me out with the crowd, Cracker Jack, that's what's really important. But
did you look, Taylor, at the words before just to be like, I know this basically by heart for a long time, but I just want to double know this and see the words? Like, are you a visual person?
I'm a very visual person, and I think in TV saying things over and over again helps. But I'm notorious for singing songs with the melody and not really their words in any song. And period, like there's so many songs I'll say words and they're like, that's not actually the word, but I'm on the melody, so I'm halfway there. So I had to Google the actual lyrics. I had multiple people come up to me and make sure that I had some of the words that a lot of people get wrong correct. So it was a lot of fun, though. I would do it 10 out of 10. I would recommend, and I would do it again.
How bucket list is it, though? Like, that's so bucket list.
We went to Chicago earlier. Took Griff. My oldest played for the Cubs. We went to Chicago, and I texted Rossi. I said, all I want to do, tickets in the suite, throw out the first pitch, sing the 7th inning stretch.
That's it.
I'll take care of the rest.
Yeah.
I didn't get to do any of them.
All asks, Yeah, no, it was fun, but it was also funny because a lot of these 7th inning stretch songs, they're on the internet and some have gone really poorly and they're played over and over again. And so I was getting a little bit nervous for it. And, the advice that people would give me, not really advice, but just the sentiment people would share is, hey, if it goes really poorly, it's going to live on the internet forever. So, no pressure.
It's a win-win, right? It either goes smoothly or, you see it forever and you get a little egg. Yeah. And publicity is good publicity. So why not? Well, you nailed it. You and Elise were great. So awesome to have you on here for the first time, Taylor. Appreciate the time. Good to see you. And thanks for coming by.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys. This is a lot of fun. You guys are doing a great job. It's been fun to follow.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Taylor. Tell Rossi I love him.
I'm going to tell Rossi that he needs to do a better job for his boy, getting you
exactly
in the boot to sing a stretch, getting you into a suite and throwing the first pitch. So
perfect.
I'll make sure he hears
it. Thanks, Taylor. Talk soon.
Bye.
Bye. All right, we'll swing back on Stadium in just a sec. Yeah, we might have to gather the Foul Territory roster and sell it to the Cubs for a 7th inning stretch. Jonesy, Brockstar. They love Pierzynski at Wrigley Field, so we'll be good there.
Everybody loves Pierzynski.
Everywhere. Russ, did my team do enough? Everybody's saying, did they do enough? Could have got a left-hander, I put a pin. Needed another starter. They got Flaherty. I wanted Cease. Who doesn't want him? Did they do enough?
Adam, I think you and I both know the answer to that question. And it's no. And it's one of those things where you're almost disappointed because you look at the Baltimore Orioles and you say, all right, this is the best team in the American League going into yesterday's trade deadline. And you're like, all right, if they do something major and they have the prospect capital to do it, they can really set themselves apart in this push for the postseason, because just getting to the postseason shouldn't be the bar, right? It should be like, how can we make the deepest run possible to get to the or once we're in the postseason? And so for the Orioles, there was a lot of starting pitching out there for them to acquire. And I know Dylan Cease was the guy that a lot of people wanted. At the same time, there were guys not named Dylan Cease that could have helped them, where you don't have to give up, obviously you're not trying to trade Jackson Holiday, right? I understand that. If you don't want to trade G-Rod, understand that too. But when you build up so much prospect capital because you're bad for a long time, you have the room to maneuver around and package players while still keeping your best prospects to make your team better. And I think something I wanted to ask you guys, if you were in a position where you're the best team in the American League and you've worked so hard to get to this point and you don't see reinforcements come in the door the day after the deadline, how would you guys feel?
Both. I'm riding with my dudes, but at the same time, it's like the number one goal is to win it that year, not to win it the next year. No, the projection, that's for projection people. In that clubhouse, we want to win it now. And, when you see a couple guys, unfortunately, my career, I didn't get that experience where at the trade deadline, seeing a big dog walk in, you know what I mean? Like Parker coming in, major league. I didn't get one of those. I wish I did. Other guys have, which is great. You guys were part of trades that you guys were the focal point at a big time. So you want to see it, but you still want to ride with your guys, but you want to see them go all in because this is your window.
And now back to foul territory.
Back at it on Stadium, Braun, Holt, Jones, and we're back in hour number 2 on Foul Territory's YouTube channel with Curt Hogg, who covers the Milwaukee Brewers. We'll get into that with him. That is a real former Brock Holt team, confirmed. Where's your Brewers shirt? You going to switch for us?
I can go put one on real fast. How long's the break?
Break's about a minute and change. So
we'll be running, but
yeah, you'd have to show off the
when I get back.
We'll be right back on our YouTube.
So I can be free. I take the weight on my shoulders. I feel the sky come down on me, and I can't hold it much longer. Gotta let go so I can be free. Yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, yeah.
Let's run it back. Hour 2 of FT Live. Braun, Adam Jones, Brock Holt. Okay, I want to jump right into That's What He Said, and then we'll talk Brewers with Curt Hogg coming up in just a few. Also, Immaculate Grid fans, we're getting after it today. But for That's What He Said, I want to go back to more on the Eduardo Rodriguez story. Boom, there it is. Okay, so I feel like there's another development here now. Once we spoke to Ken and he kind of doubled down on what he wrote about, is that the agent for Eduardo Rodriguez comes out publicly and essentially said in that press release that he's not going out to LA because of like family and personal reasons, all that. Cool. I'm totally on board with that. Ken, we know, stand-up guy, right? He said, the fishiness and the problem essentially that Ken has is when he's getting word that they kind of said yes, or did say yes, right? The Tigers had they they had the understanding that Eduardo Rodriguez would have approved a trade. And then they start to have the financial conversations. Hey, this is a pretty strong ask right here, actually, Brockstar, from the agent. Hey, if he gets traded here, he can still opt out. If he doesn't opt out, then I want another year and 20 mil, and then he'll accept the trade. Now, that's very different from a family situation, because financially, I think he's doing okay.
Yeah, obviously, I should have probably read Ken's article. I mean, there's always going to be more to the story than what we know, but just from playing with Eddie and knowing him, and I'm always going to be team player, just because I was a player and I know the kind of the behind the scenes of the whole situation. But the only thing is, we talked about in the first hours that there was a tweet out there where Mookie and JD both texted him, and I mean, the only thing I would have done differently probably if I was Eddie is texted my former teammates back. That's a pet peeve of mine, reaching out and not hearing anything from the other side. But like I said, Ken has some good points. I mean, obviously there's more to the story than we're probably going to know and all that, but that's why you get those things in your contract, and Eddie exercised his right to veto it, and he's a Detroit Tiger for the time being.
Yeah, so let's show what Eddie said. So, and I want to clarify here too, Brock. I don't have a problem with all of that. Like, I don't have a problem with Eddie, and here's his quote to the Tigers. Quote, "I love the guys here, and I feel like they love me too. I know we have a really good team, and we have a really good future over here with the young guys. I want to be part of it, and that's why I decided to stay here too." So, Jonesy, I'm okay with a player going to the teams and saying, "I have my no trade. Screw you. Give me more money." What I'm not okay with is the agent coming out and saying, "Oh, it didn't happen for fam." Just come out and tell it like it is. Hey, we were trying to negotiate something. It didn't work out. Don't say, like when it's getting reported now that you were asking for more money, don't blame the fam on that case. Because that's like, you're kind of throwing your fam under the bus a little bit there, or just like your personal reasons. Just say like, "Hey, I have this right and it didn't work out." Okay, I'd respect that. I'd be like, "Good for you. You negotiated that. They didn't pay you. Dodgers have plenty of money. They should have done it if they really wanted him." Then I would have blamed the Dodgers.
He could have worded it as, "The situation didn't work out best for me." Like,
Yep.
it just could have worded it. It's how you word it. I got lawyers in the family. They always say everything is how you word it. And the beginning of it started as, okay, it's personal, which we all respect. There's never any argument. He worked that into his contract. Then it's turned into, they tried to work out an extension. If the extension comes in, add another year and 20 on it. And that's also fine. Oh, that's totally fine. A lot of guys actually do that. They get extension. Especially bigger name guys, ask for extensions upon a trade. That happens a lot. It's just conflicting of, what do you really want? If you got the extension, would you go? So is it about your family? Since you didn't get the extension, you're staying. Now you're saying you love the guys. We always love every single person that we come across in the clubhouse. We go and die for these guys. We give our bodies for them. But when it comes to winning, everybody in that clubhouse is going to try to win. That's just how it works. So which one is it? I don't know. You can always say the personal. We respect that. But if you're saying I want an extension and it didn't work out, then just say, we tried to get an extension on top of it, and the Dodgers didn't have an appetite for it.
Yeah. Well said. I agree. Like, wouldn't you say to your agent if he put that out there, like, whoa.
I would talk. Like, that's the thing.
Yeah.
Also, I would talk. He speaks English. Sheesh.
Yeah.
He speaks English. Talk.
Yeah, he speaks English. Yeah.
You're a grown man. Like, at this point, you're not. You talk to your agent and go through your agent before you get to arbitration. Oh, my agent said I can't do this engagement. I can't go here. I'm a grown ass man with family and kids. Okay. What's up? You text, like you said, Brock. You text me. I text you back. What's going on? How we doing? Like, we're grown ups. We're at that stage. We're past we spend more time with each other in our own families. Respond to the text message first and foremost, and just come out and just say it. Like, it didn't work out. You didn't want to leave. Like, just in this era, there's too many variables of things. People are going to write an article about anything and say anything. You come out and say it and get ahead of it so you can just squash it. Because now, everywhere he goes, people are going to ask me, "What's going on with you, bro? You want to go to LA? Wow. You want more money. Oh, okay." It's all a lot. Now it's just a lot of different variables rather than him jumping out in front of it and saying, It didn't work out.
Yeah, well said. All right, so let's do a little more on That's What He Said from Steve Cohen. We got a little Steve Cohen soundbite for you, owner of the Mets, to continue this combo. Also, from what we asked Ken, because I still feel like they're not totally on the same page. I know Ken said it was just kind of worded in two ways. I'll explain how I feel and what I think went down, but let's run what Steve Cohen, owner of the Mets, said about the direction of the franchise. He was in Kansas City. Mets are there right now to explain to everyone what went down.
Well, we were like 15%, and other teams were getting better. And so you have to take the odds down from that. And so, you know, if you're going to have a 12% chance of winning, just getting into the playoffs, those are pretty crummy odds. You know, I wouldn't want to be betting any money on that, and I don't think anybody else would either, okay? And I said before, hope's not a strategy. And so, now saying that, we didn't have any idea what was possible at the deadline, and we weren't going to just do deals for the sake of doing deals. And but you know, we thought, you know, we got a great return for, you know, what, you know, the people that we ended up trading, and we weren't sure that was going to happen. I mean, I would have kept the players if it turned out it was going to be a, you know, mediocre return. So you know, that was the opportunity. It turned out that it's a moment in time where other clubs are thinking very short term, and I was thinking more intermediate, long term.
Okay. I have this conspiracy theory that the Mets wanted to trade Max and JV and press a little mini reset button because they're not tearing it all down, which I hate. They're just going to not necessarily buy the whole world in free agency, but I actually think they will win more games next year. I think they have mostly the same team minus those two starters. I think they will fill those two starters with two others, and they have a lot of prospects now coming up from the trade they just made. I do believe it was a little reload, and I think that they told Max and JV what they needed to hear for them to leave. Brock, do you know what I'm saying? Where it's like Max is like, are you going to go all out in free agency? Well, all out in free agency for the Mets is having a $500 million payroll and buying Verlander and Scherzer. So to me, if I'm Steve Cohen and then I get a call from Max in the offseason saying, hey, dude, you said you guys weren't going to go all out and you just got Julio Urias and Aaron Nola to replace us. If I'm Cohen, I go, yeah, we're not going all out. We didn't get Shohei Ohtani.
Yeah.
But they want to trade those guys because they could get good value for them right now. And he bought very legitimate prospects that I think are going to help the team next year. So do you know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah,
I think they kind of told them what they needed to hear to say, okay, I'm not staying here just in case they're in rebuild mode. But you think the richest owner in sports is going to just be like, yeah, let's tank for another year? No freaking way.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know anything about Steve Cohen other than he's got lots of money. And from everything that I've seen and listened to him talk, and since the time he became owner, it's like he wants to win there. And you've got to believe with the resources that he has, he's going to do everything that he can to do that. But for me, it's like, I mean, I understand trading one of them, getting rid of, you know, maybe trading Scherzer to the Rangers and keeping Verlander for next year. If you're really trying to, I mean, obviously you got two more prospects and they're reloading and retooling. But you know, for me, I got to believe that, like you said, Scott, that they're going to try and win, and they're going to keep spending money. I mean, they're spending more money on players who don't play for them than, you know, how 10, 11 teams are spending on their full rosters. So the dude's got money, and from an outsider's perspective, it seems like he really wants to do whatever he's got to do to win, to put a winning team on the field. And you know, I believe that he's going to do that.
What did you think, Jonesy? Like, if you had that conversation, right? So you said, hey, I heard about the Philly situation when I was playing. I didn't want to platoon. That makes sense. Now, if you're Max and JV, they're pitching, they're starting regardless, right? They're going to be towards the top of any rotation. So they're moving on. That's not the problem for them. They're thinking, hey, I'm late stages of my career. I don't want to be on a team that's not full on trying. So if I'm the Mets, it's a great way to persuade them. Where if they're saying, hey, guarantee me right now that you're going to spend at the top of the market, if I'm the Mets, I'd just go, no, I can't guarantee you that. So, but at the same time, I do think they're going to look at the offseason and be like, wait a second, they did spend a decent amount in the offseason. I like this team in 2024. And I feel like, would you feel like they lied to you, or you're okay with how this all played out?
They both getting their money and going to a state with no taxes. Who like they don't care, okay?
Yeah.
They're old. They're older guys, and at the end of the day, they want to win again. And like, what's better than them going out on top? They only have a few more years left in their arms. The Mets did a great job by getting prospects back, and I like that Urias and Nola situation. That I didn't think about that because like they're going to spend money. I mean, they got a $300 million shortstop. They're going to spend money, and he's going to be vocal about it. You just can't force it, and that's what it seemed like. As soon as he got there, he tried to force, like, I'm going to win now. And like, you can't do that in baseball. It's tough. You know, the only time it happened was the Yankees in the late '90s, and now they were the first to do it, and they forced it all, and they won. But now a lot of you have other teams in other markets that can do that. So you just can't force it. But getting good prospects back and going and getting some younger starters, got starters that are, you can go get 6-7 year contracts too, that are 28 and they can run out to, to the 35 is great. Those guys are fantastic Hall of Famers. They need to win now, and the innings they need to throw need to be Hall of Fame quality innings going forward, and not just trying to get a wild card. No, their innings need to be trying to win a World Series.
I thought Steve was pretty open about Buck Showalter too, your boy Jonesy. He basically said, nah, this one's on the players. I agree. For the most case nowadays, sure, there are managers that are better fits for teams than others. But at the same time, and I have this case, I go on so many Yankee shows, Jonesy, and their number one enemy is like Aaron Boone. And I'm like, why is Aaron Boone, forget putting the roster together. I'm like, he doesn't even make the lineup most of the time. They give him the freaking lineup. I'm like, why are you blaming Boone? Blame the front office. I feel the same way with Buck, and I'm glad that the owner said, hey, listen, like, our players underperformed this year. We didn't put the best team together. I don't think it's on Buck. Sure, you want to point at a few bullpen mistakes that were made, okay, but I don't think this should be Buck as much as, Billy Epler.
I mean, it's who constructs the team first. Obviously, it's the players. I mean, you deserve the blame. We are trying to grind it out, and we are unsuccessful all the time. It happens. It's a very, very tough game. It's just part of it. But, losing Edwin Diaz, no matter what you say, that hurts. I don't care. It just moved everybody. It shook everybody. It made people who weren't throwing in the 8th and 9th, and now they're throwing in the 8th and 9th. It just altered everything. And, that was a big, big loss. It doesn't matter who you say you are. That you losing your all-star closer, like that's a big, big loss. And, they have the roster, obviously, to combat all that. But if you can't close out the games with a guy who's, potentially 50 saves a year, it's going to be tough.
Hey, so we have some news coming in just now about Domingo Germán. We know yesterday that he was going to be done for the season and placed on the restricted list. He's dealing with alcohol abuse issues, and this is a report here. Is this from the Yanks? This one, or this is Andy Martino. I see, right? One of the reporters said the incident that led to the Yankees placing Domingo Germán on the restricted list on Wednesday occurred at Yankee Stadium was not a domestic situation, clubhouse sources say. On Tuesday evening of this week, Germán grew belligerent while in the clubhouse at Yankee Stadium. Though there is no word of an altercation with a teammate or other individuals, witnesses determined that Germán was under the influence of alcohol and did not appear in control of his emotions. Several Yankees, including Brian Cashman, Aaron Boone, and Garrett Cole, appeared visibly shaken when asked about Germán on Wednesday. So now it turns into a situation where he's got to get himself some help. He's not going to pitch the rest of the year. This is, not the first person that's dealt with alcohol issues that's had to step aside from the game. Hey, we remember CC Sabathia is one of the most lovable dudes in our sport for a long time. He was very open and vocal about how he had to step aside for a bit because he was dealing with some alcohol addiction issues. And CC, as said, he's recovered and really is in a good spot. So it turns into a point for her mind where, at least on my end, I'm like, dude, get yourself better. Go get the help and the treatment that you need, and hopefully he can continue on as a big league ball player going forward.
Seriously, very serious situation, and got all the resources there in New York City for him. So hopefully he gets all the help that he can get. Obviously, him and his family is most important. Throwing a baseball is secondary at this point, as it has appeared. So get the treatment you need, and then get back on the right path. Because again, he's a really good talent and has a lot of years ahead of him on the mound. So hopefully he gets the proper treatment. And again, having CC there in the organization is another great value and a great tool, because he's been through it, open about it. So hopefully he can reach out to him and help him.
Yeah, I mean, all we can really say about this is just hope that he gets better. I mean, that's really it. Like AJ said, I mean, baseball's secondary at this point. Get yourself better, get yourself healthy, and then you can worry about all that other stuff after. But I think everybody's thinking about him. We'll be praying for him and hope that he can put this in the rear view and get back on track.
Yeah, and for the Yankees, I mean, also he was having a pretty good year, right? I mean, he had some ups and downs in terms of his performance on the field, but now, when you look at the roster for the Yanks, again, you're in a spot where, I know we talked to Ken Rosenthal about it earlier. I mean, I don't see this team making the playoffs now. I'm not saying it's just from this, one player going down, but in general, like Judge is back, Jonesy, the offense is still pretty bad. I feel like, and I felt this way last year, especially when you look at Judge, do you remember how often they challenged him and pitched to him? And then once it was getting more intense, the home run chase, all of a sudden pitchers were like, actually, I'm going to pitch around this guy and make someone else beat me. And I was looking, I'm like, why haven't they been doing that all year against him? You never felt like there was, players behind him that were going to punish you. And I still feel that way a year later with the Yanks. The offense has been bad. I know yesterday they picked up the pace a little bit, but in general, this team is really struggling right now. And they might even be the worst team in the American League East. Like, them and the Red Sox, in my mind, are pretty close. The Yankees have some better pitching. The Red Sox, in my mind, has a much better offense.
I would not pitch to him. And again, I love Rizzo and I love Stanton. Judge is obviously Judge. He's put himself into a different category. It's the same thing that you seen Chapman chewing out the manager the other day for. Is like, why are you pitching to Ohtani? Again, the competitiveness of it, I get it. That's the name of the game. Jays need wins. Walking. Pitch to the next guys. If he's still like, hey, take your chances, because this guy is obviously, when you take your chances with him, he's showing you that he's gonna take you deep. Not just hit a double. He's gonna take you deep. He's at 40. So it's when you go, again, the competition part of it, I get it. When you're going for W's, hey, if you're going for W's, you got to just use the strategy. And Judge is obviously number 2 feared. I mean, I would say he's the most feared guy in their lineup. I'm trying to average on guys around the league. But he's the number 1 guy in their lineup that is feared. That's why they had him leading off, so that he can get the most at-bats, so that he can at least get pitched to. But you have to make the other guys beat you at this point. And if Judge is beating you, that, unless the bases are loaded, you got to put him on.
Yeah, I mean, totally agree. I mean, we've seen the last 2 years, I mean, how much better that offense is with Judge in it than when he's not in it. And until those other guys, AJ, like you said, Rizzo, great player, Stanton, great player, they can beat you, but they haven't shown that recently. So until those guys start beating you, I mean, why even pitch to them? Put them on and see what happens. I mean, they were one of the worst offenses in baseball when Judge was out. So, put the pressure on some of those other guys other than Judge, because I think he's proven it time and time again that he will beat you if given the opportunity. And when you don't have those guys around you swinging the bat like they normally do and they're capable of, let's try our luck with those guys instead of the big guy.
And this could be more money in the offseason.
But this could help too, though. This could help too, because when you get the guy before you gets walked, that's like, huh? Especially when you got a name on your back. Now, if you're just got called up, you got a cup of coffee in the big leagues, and someone gets walked in front of you, expect that. You got a name on your back. You've been to some All-Star games. You got some hardware, and they walk the guy in front of you. Hey, that could spark and get both of those guys going, because Rizzo and Stanton hot is Armageddon for pitchers. So it could be a reverse psychology if it plays out the right way.
Yep, that's true. Yeah, I mean, hey, if I was as AJ would do, if I was Judge's agent, I would have said, he's worth every penny, baby. He's worth every damn penny in the offseason. Oh, there we go. All right.
His toe hurts.
Yeah, exactly. Little Shady Rays action for you right now as we show off what we've got from our new partnership. I know many of you in the chat were like, "Oh, I got some already." Well, so does Brock. Brock, man, I can see the whole world.
Listen, these came in the mail the other day. I think a couple of days ago. I was like, "Where the hell did these things come from?" My wife brings back, said, "What'd you order?" I said, "I didn't order anything. I got 2 pairs of sunglasses. I didn't know how they got here." I was going to shout out Shady Rays on Instagram, but like, "Hey man, thanks for the glasses. How'd you get my address?" But yeah, I've already worn them, man. They're great.
They are fantastic. It's the highest quality without paying the highest prices is really the key here, which we'll let you know about each day. But also, a couple things that are key is if you get them and you don't like them, then you return them, or they'll give you another pair to switch around pretty easily. And then the best part of it is, because we all have this problem, and I've been bringing this up to the other hosts, if you break them or if you lose them, they have the best protection plan in the biz. That is very key for us all here. We all have that issue, especially the hosts on this show. So every pair of sunglasses is backed by their lost and broken replacements plan. So make sure you check that out. If you lose or break a pair, even on day one, they told us they'll send you a brand new pair. No questions asked. I don't need the excuses. Just send the pair and we're good. So with Shady Rays, you got that confidence. They've got your back, and want to let everyone know exclusively for our listeners, Shady Rays is giving out their best deal of the season. Go to shadyrays.com and make sure you enter the code FOUL, all caps, please, FOUL, for 50% off 2+ pairs of polarized sunglasses. Try for yourself the shades rated 5 stars by over 250,000 human beings. Shady Rays. All right. You ready to play some games here? Have you guys played with us? Yeah, I think Brock played.
I played once. Yeah, I played once.
Jonesy, you haven't played on this show yet, have you?
I haven't, but I've been studying and I've been thinking, and I wrote my grid down so that I can remember it.
Okay.
Yeah.
And we talked about Steve Pearce earlier, so he's got to be in one of these squares.
Well, let's see. I haven't looked at our grid yet. Let's see what we've got.
Yeah, I haven't seen the today's, but.
Okay, so it's immaculate grid time, and FT fam, help us out for the next few minutes here as we play the game. So we have the Giants, the Reds, and a 300+ batting average season at the top, and the left column features Cleveland, Boston, and we're looking for Rookie of the Year people. Okay, so let's play along, and remember, we're looking for, if you're new to the party here, if you haven't played this game, we're looking for those rare answers. Okay, so start getting after it with us in the chat, and let's get started here. Of course, Nicholas right away goes, you got to go AJ for Giants and Red Sox. That's a good one. Do you guys like that?
That is a good one. I was going to say PV, but I bet AJ's.
More rare just because most people don't think of him on really either of those teams. Let's go. What a start.
Nice. What is that?
0.9%, baby.
Oh, nice. I had Marco Scutero.
Ooh.
That's a good one.
Yeah. That is a good one, too. All right, so then you pick the next one. What do you have, Jonesy? Like, what's one that's real rare that you feel good about here on this grid?
I'm going to go with the 300 batting average and Rookie of the Year.
Okay.
Al Bunbury.
Al Bunbury? I don't even know who that is.
I know you don't know who that is, man.
So that's a good one.
Hopefully you can find him because he hit 330 or something.
Oh, my God.
0.1%.
Wait, how do you know that?
I played in Baltimore.
Holy shit.
Yeah, I know all about Al Bunbury. I seen him the other day.
AJ with the pick of all picks today.
That might be the best one I've seen yet on this show. Wow. Holy shit.
I knew he was Rookie of the Year. And
That was
I mean,
incredible.
he was in our organization. I mean, forever. He's still around. So had a baby Bumbry.
Great
That's
play
a good
there.
one.
All right, for Justin's throwing out a more recent name for Cincinnati and Boston. He said, "How about Tommy Pham?"
Cincinnati and Boston.
Yeah, I think that's
That
a
middle,
good one. That's
middle.
gonna be a low one.
Let's stay hot. 5%. Okay, much higher than most of the rest, but not bad.
I feel like the more recent players are going to be a little bit higher percent.
No, you're right. You're right.
Yeah, if you can think of older guys.
Darnell McDonald would have been one. That's what I had.
Oh, that would have been.
That would have been better. Jonesy, you got to jump in there. So like top right for 300 batting average in Cleveland, I was told to go with Minnie Minoso. Do we feel good about that?
Yeah.
I mean,
that's Jubal Cabrera. Minnie Minoso is very, very old, and he's really known as a White Sox.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was going with Jubal Cabrera, but
see, that one actually is more recent. I like Minoso.
But everybody's going to go with Brantley. There we go.
04%. Well played. Well played. Who was that? Hold on. AJ early on our chat. Well played. All right. What else? You guys want to help us out? I've got you have one, Jonesy? What's your next best one?
Go with Cincinnati Rookie of the Year.
Okay.
Scott Williamson.
Scott Williamson won Rookie of the Year?
Mm-hmm. 99. Beat out my dude, Preston Wilson.
Look at AJ.
Nice. That's a steal.
I say this is a solid grid so far.
Wow. Okay, I got a good one from again AJ Early staying hot here. He said top middle, so that would be Cincinnati and Cleveland. How about Dave Burba?
Ooh, Burba.
Dave Burba's in the low ones.
1%.
There we go.
Nice.
Kind of looks like Will Clark in that picture.
What about San Francisco Guardians? I'm sorry.
Yes, San Francisco and Cleveland. What do we have?
Dan Otero.
Nice. Dan Otero.
MLB Zone.
Yes.
0.2%. It's a beauty.
I mean, AJ.
This is a really good grid right now. Let's finish strong. We got two more. We got a 300 hitting Boston Red Sox player, and we have a San Francisco Giant winning Rookie of the Year.
I mean, I got Pedroia with Boston.
Yeah, that'd be high.
Yeah, no,
that'd be high.
That'd be real high. I'm trying to think.
Let's get help from the FT fam here in the chat right now. I'm trying to think
of someone that did it.
Ooh, so, okay.
Daniel Nova.
I was going to say Daniel Nava. I think he had
he
a
300. 300 though.
I think so.
Okay. Toasty said Johnny Pesky for Red Sox hitting 300.
Yeah, I mean Pesky. People.
Ted Williams,
Pesky, obviously.
Of course. You want to try Nava?
Yeah, see if Nava works. I think I do think he hit 300. That dude got hits.
Gotta find him.
David Ortiz. Come on, Nava. Nava, don't hurt me.
Boom!
Whoa!
Nice.
Wow!
Yeah.
Wow, that was an impressive pull, and no one threw that one out there either. All right.
First major league at bat for Daniel Nava, grand slam, first pitch in the major leagues.
That was really good. Okay, so Jackson gave us a name for San Francisco Giants Rookie of the Year. He said John Montefusco.
Sure.
You have to look that up.
He sounds low.
You have to look that up.
Yeah,
I mean, obviously you go with Willie Mays, Buster Posey, and Orlando Cepeda.
No. 12 rarity.
12.
Wow, he was 2%. That is a really, really impressive grid just now from everyone.
I mean, the highest, 5%, Tommy Pham.
Holy shit. That was really good. Very well done on the collaborative effort, everyone. Very nicely done. We'll post that on our socials. Wow, that was fun.
Whoa.
John the Count Montefusco. Am I saying that right? Montefusco. I'm not great once you start getting back, in the 80s and beyond. So it was very well done. That was fun. All right. So is Curt ready to go, everyone? Yes? Okay, perfect. Let's get into a little Milwaukee Brewers conversation right now. Curt Hogg is joining us. He covers the Brewers for the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel. Curt, great to see you. Are you hanging in the park right now?
Yeah, I got here a little early today. I mean, it's like high 70s. It's like a perfect Milwaukee day. Like when you think of the best Milwaukee summer days, it's today.
And so everything's open? There's no threat of rain or anything?
Everything's open. I don't think it's going to rain tonight. So beautiful day at the park.
Curt, well, hey, since you're already there, why don't you take us up to the slide and let's do a live slide on South Territory.
I don't think anyone's monitoring it right now, but they've cracked down in the last year.
I snuck up there COVID year. Me and Jed Jerko, we snuck up there and did it. It was unbelievable.
You didn't injure yourself though.
I didn't injure myself. It was fast though, and when you get up there, it's high.
Yeah, there's the turn. That's what I'm a little concerned about. I think
that
I'll be
Dodgers,
fine, but there's that little question of doubt. Like,
have you ever done it?
No, I haven't. I was going to, but then after the Dodgers reporter broke his ribs or his wrist or maybe both last year, it's seriously been cracked down. It's much harder to get someone to take you up there.
Well, yeah, we know about the famous injury with David Vassay of the Dodgers reporter who broke his arm or something like that.
That was funny. That's a great clip. Yeah, me and Jed, we just hopped some fences and climbed up there. We got in trouble after by security, but we didn't care. We did it. We checked it off the list. There's that other bucket list thing.
You're players. You can get away with it,
sing the seventh inning at Cubs and slide down the slide in Milwaukee. I got one of them.
All right, so Curt, let's get to business. Did the Brewers do enough? Do you like their moves? Grade the trade deadline for Milwaukee.
Yeah, I did like their moves considering what was available on the market. You kind of saw how it played out. Other than the top of the top names, which the Brewers weren't really going to be in play for in terms of they didn't want to deal that prospect capital. I think they did all right. Now the question shifts to, is this team good enough, even including those moves, to win this division, make the playoffs? We can get into all of that. But, considering they had a delicate balance to strike between not having the greatest team right now, having a good team, and then having a good farm system. And not a great market either. It's a tricky balance to play, but I think they did well, not really giving up all too much for guys that should help.
Curt, I just seen you literally a few days ago and in Milwaukee. What's the temperament of the team? Honestly, the Reds obviously they played the younger team when I was there. Fiery. The Brewers a little older, starting pitchers. Got some youth, obviously, with their prospects. But what's the temperament of the team? They made some good trades. I like both of them, actually. I love Santana big time. But what's the temperament of their team? Are they going to go for it, really? Because this is an open division, as the Cubs are going for it. I think no one besides even the Pirates. Everybody's in. What's the temperament of the Brewers as everybody's in the Central?
Yeah, I think it's a clubhouse that knows everyone's in it. They know they're in it, and there's a need for some sparks over the last couple months, and they think that they're gonna get them. Whether it was Sal Frelick coming up, I don't know if you were you here for his debut? That was an electric night.
Yeah, and I seen him go deep too.
Yeah, that was the night I saw you here. That was a spark. Brandon Woodruff coming back will be a spark. They hope some of these guys they got, Carlos Santana, Andrew Chafin, Mark Hanna at the deadline. They hope those are sparks to get you through the last 2 months. It's inside this organization, I get the sense that they believe that they should win this division. The players think it. I think probably the front office believes that they've assembled a team that can win it. They've got to have some guys that are underperforming in all earnestness right now. They need those guys to step up. Willie Adames hasn't been great in the second half, or hasn't played up to the performance level that they're used to from him as well. Some guys that are injured right now, like Rowdy Tellez, hasn't been to the standard that he set for himself either. So if the guys that are kind of playing under where they've been at in their career step up and the trades perform as expected, this is a team that should be in it to the very end.
All right, Curt, you talked about Big Woo, Brandon Woodruff. He was just here in Nashville on a rehab. Pissed off he didn't text me. I would have driven over and watched him. Big fan of him. So obviously he's he's ramping things up. He's in AAA doing rehab. Is his next start going to be with Milwaukee? Is he going to need one or two more here in the minor leagues?
Well, we'll hopefully get an answer on that later today. But if you know anything about Big Woo, if anyone knows anything about Big Woo, he's going to do everything in his possibility to make his next start be here on this homestand. I think that'll be next week against the Rockies. It lines up for, they've got a spot for him to step in next week. He's gotten through 3 rehab starts. He's gotten 5 up downs in 70-something pitches. Like in terms of workload and, you know, getting that good soreness in you and getting that good tiredness in you as well, like he's done everything that he thinks he needs to do. Like the Brewers are right in the thick of it. They don't have a huge, I guess, pressing need for like they need to have another starter. Colin Ray's stepped in and done sufficiently, but as we all know, there's not many guys like Brandon Woodruff out there, and they've been waiting 4+ months for this guy to come back. So I could very well see that button getting pressed, and he'll be right out here throwing in just a few days.
Hey, Curt, were you surprised that the Reds did absolutely nothing at the trade deadline? Even Nick Krall, who's done a great job, especially over the past couple of years, their GM, kind of hinted that they were going to make a move. And there was public comments about how they've been filling that place up, and they're kind of felt like they were going to reward the fans with some type of deal. And you could look at this team and say, okay, there's a lot going right. But then you look at the last couple of days and you're like, holy shit, they needed pitching. I mean, they've given up a freaking boatload of runs to a Cubs team that's good, but they're making their offense look like it's, you know, one of the best offenses we've ever seen. So we've also seen these two teams match up, and the Brewers have owned the matchup. I like Cincinnati. I think it's a great story, but I think they really missed the boat by not trying to do a little something for their pitching depth, despite Green and Lodolo coming back at some point. Were you looking like, wait, am I missing something?
Like what?
Did the Reds do anything?
Am I missing something here? Yeah, I mean, their pitching has been it's been, I guess, manageable. Like it's kept them in games and allows their offense, which is really, really good and really, really dangerous. Unless they're playing the Brewers, apparently, against everyone else, they score a ton of runs, but not against Milwaukee for whatever reason. But yeah, the pitching has it's like just needs some more guys. Like Alexis Diaz is really good. They got some other interesting guys in the bullpen, but it's needed some guys. Maybe needed another starter. Now you could squint and very well see them still winning this division with what they've got. They've got so much offensive talent, but on the other hand, like you saw a lot of teams make some marginal to a little more than marginal upgrades and didn't cost a whole lot. Like the Brewers didn't put much of a dent in their system at all to address 3 positions of need. And like this is kind of my philosophy on the Reds and like maybe where the Orioles were. You've got so many prospects to deal from, and you've got such a, you know, you have a chance to win now. Your team is in a spot to make some serious hay in the playoffs. The fan base is as energized as they've been in a decade plus. Why not go for it? Make a little move. Go get Giolito or someone. I don't know if that was the right move for the Reds or not, but that's what I would have done.
Yeah, I mean, Eduardo Rodriguez we talked about a lot, Jonesy, and I don't think he was on the no trade list. That would have been a good ask.
Easily to bring in guys like that. And again, you don't have, they always talk about windows. There's only a few teams that have true windows that are open. A lot of these teams' windows are barely cracked and they break them to get through. This is a year for the Reds to do that. Like, why not be like, again, you got prospects going forward. I hope that they turn out to be what they turn out to be, but your fans are excited right now. No one's thinking about 2024 yet until it gets here. You can add some pieces. You got capital. I mean, again, it's a different division. It's not the East. It's not the West. But you got to add something to tell my fan base and my guys, like, hey, we're going for it. We need a little bit of help. You know, our records indicate we're right at 500, basically. We need a little bit of help. They didn't do it.
Just something. Paul Sewald, Andrew Chafin, who's here, would have been good. I do, like I said, I think the Brewers did pretty well addressing some needs. They weren't the splashiest ads, but considering how bad this offense has been, an upgrade's an upgrade at this rate.
100%.
Yeah, and what about the Cubs then? So I do think it makes it more fun, and now the Cubs are looking, going, oh, Cincinnati didn't do anything, and now they're smacking them around right now. I always think there's some karma related to that, but were you surprised that the Cubs decided to go in? I was pretty hard on them because I don't see it, but I know they're on a great run right now. I still think the Brewers are going to probably win the division, and the Cubs are going to be on the outside looking in from a wild card, but they're certainly making a strong case right now.
Yeah, the lineup, like you said, it's not the 27 Yankees, but you kind of stack the names on that lineup compared to, say, the Brewers lineup, and it looks a lot better down on the north side of Chicago for sure than it does here. Those boys can put up some runs at a serious clip. So yeah, it'll be. I mean, they're right in the thick of this, so it'll be very interesting to see how it goes. Brewers are done with the Reds, but they've got the Cubs still a few more times. I'm not sure how the Cubs pitching is going to be able to hold up. They've gotten some good performances out of some guys, for sure. They were in a tricky spot about like a week and a half ago, where they started going on this little bit of a winning streak, and it was like, oh boy, I don't know if like they're going to be able to like climb all the way back into this, but that might keep them from selling. Or is like going to be a good thing. I think it was a good thing for them long term because they're right smack dab in the wild card now.
Yeah, and how do you think Brewers fans feel about Brock Holt wearing Cubs gear today after 2 days of fireworks? Even though Brock still got a little Milwaukee Brewers on his big league resume. Brockstar, let's
yeah, yeah. The Cubs have been on fire just about as long as I was in my career in Milwaukee lasted, right? Like 30 at bats, send me packing. You know what? I think why I got designated so quick was because me and Yelich were hanging out a lot, and Yelich wasn't playing that great. So they're like, listen, Yelich just got off back-to-back years of 2 MVPs, and now he's not that great of a player, and Brock's the only thing that's changed. So let's get rid of him. And now look at him. He's back, baby.
Hey, I buy
immaculate grid name for Brewers, by the way, though.
Oh, I'm sure more people will think of me as a Brewers legend than you think, Curt. I bet I'm up there in the 15-20% range.
Yeah, we got what number 20 was it?
No, 11.
11.
Yeah, see, you don't. Yeah, you see that. That tells you all you need to know right there.
Well, it's. I thought they were going to have it up here on the facade, but for some reason they haven't gotten there yet.
The number 11 didn't last long in Brewers Brewers history.
Hey, well, Curt, I want to finish with this. Who maybe the next great number 11 could be for the Brewers? Take us down to the farm for a moment, because this team's done a much better job with their farm system the last year or two versus what they had for like a 3-4 year stretch before that. They were towards the bottom. They were competing every year. They didn't have much to take from their minor league system. We've seen a bunch of young Brewers come up this year, like Frelick, obviously the latest. And then, of course, we all want to talk about Jackson Chourio. So what do you think? Is there anyone else left that's going to come up this year that's going to contribute? And I don't know, if the offense is just okay and Chourio just starts raking for the next month and a half, why not say fuck it and bring up the maybe best prospect in baseball right now?
He's the youngest player at Double-A, and he's the hottest hitter in the entire minor leagues right now. I feel like, as of even a couple weeks ago, the idea was like, he's 19. This would be rushing him up here. I don't know if the calculation changes at all over the next 3 weeks if he keeps, hitting a homer every other night like he's been doing. That'd be exciting to see. I mean, talk about the fans being interested. They would be all for it. I still don't think it happens. That's my sense of the situation. One name is Tyler Black. He's the other really good hitter at Double-A right now. He could fill the need at first base, could be a designated hitter, also play some third base, although that's not his strength. He's a little older, I think 22 maybe, so probably Brewers would be maybe a little more inclined to feel like he's more big league ready if they need to call up a guy. But man, that would be some excitement over the final month to get Chourio up here for sure.
And I've just been reminded, Brock, that number 11 is taken at the moment.
Yeah, Rowdy Tellez. He's won it a little bit better than me.
Different size uniform.
Different size uniform, a little bit more pop, but a lot less hair.
Exactly. Well stated. Yes, and Rowdy's back. What's the timetable on him, by the way, Kurt? Because we don't usually bring dudes on when they're hurt.
He's taken some swings.
Okay.
He's got to get to rehab games and then get a few of more than a few of those in, because it's been a while since he's been out. Yeah.
Okay. Well, we miss him. Kurt, great to catch up with you.
I'll tell him you guys miss him, and Brock said he's a better brewer.
Yeah, tell him that. He already knows that, though.
He'll have no retort whatsoever, I'm sure.
Oh no, I love Rowdy. He's a great dude.
Yeah, too bad he's so quiet and he doesn't like to, throw jabs at anybody. Kurt, great to have you on, man. Good to catch up again.
Thanks, Kurt.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Curt Hogg with us on the Milwaukee Brewers. He writes for the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel, and we'll post some of this on our Twitter, so you can check out his Twitter page as well. All right, let's win some people some monies now, please. Your Bet MGM locks. Now, first off, we did a giveaway for the people where you had to show us that you were following the pod on Apple or Spotify. And then once you show that screenshot, you were entered to win. We have winners. Here are our winners for the Bet MGM $100 bonus giveaway. So they just throw a little hundo in your Bet MGM account. Drew, Hollywood, Hernandez, Al, Nicholas, and Betancourt Bases. Congrats.
Put it on black. Free money.
Well, it's got to be on sports, I think. So maybe we can help you right now. Let's do our BetMGM locks. First, a little backtrack to Wednesday where Jonesy was like, whatever, Dodgers by a lot. And that was very accurate for plus money. Dodgers covered easy. The over hit pretty nicely for AJ early on. I'm not going to speak for the other two of the Flying V, but I got screwed, okay? The Phillies were in control a billion times in this game. I was like, yes, Wheeler, minus 125. Let's get back on the board with a dub, and I just couldn't pull it off. So updated money bags. We're still all good. Everybody you're watching and listening to right now is in the green. We are ahead. Brockstar, this is a chance for you to go over the 500 mark. So for our BetMGM locks for Thursday, kick things off.
Yeah, if there's AJ went Dodgers over A's yesterday, I'm taking it. If there's a lock out there that's how am I trying to say this? As a locky as they come, it's Dodgers beating the A's. So now it probably won't happen, but I'm taking the Dodgers to win by 1 million. I think it's only 2.5, but
yes.
Yeah. So I got the Dodgers. I want to bet. What do I have to do to bet to get over the 500 mark?
Well, no, you're over money wise. I'm saying you're
I'm talking money. I don't care about the record. I want the money.
Money. You're up 110, and you're actually putting this is a plus 110 with the run line. So what do you want to throw down?
Let's do 200.
Okay, 200 to win 220. We'll see what happens. You need to win by 3 or more.
Come on, Mook.
And Jonesy's getting fancy. You getting fancy today?
Yeah, he went wild on this one.
Yeah,
switching it up a little bit. Switching it up. Well, I'm going with obviously I'm taking the Orioles in the money line, but add some to it. Flaherty and Gosman are strikeout pitchers. I need 4+ from Mr. Flaherty. Gosman is second in baseball in strikeouts with 171 and 127 innings. So I think 5 might be doable for you, big fella. I didn't go too high. I think it was 8. We bought it down a little bit. So put in 100 to win 230.
Yeah, I like it. I'm with you on Flaherty, especially, first game with a new team.
Yeah.
He's got
that
this
slider's going to be tight today.
Yes. And he's got this crazy stat because, his fastball velocity has been talked about a lot this year because it's been down. But there have been some starts where it's up. And Saris, who's been on this show before, is the big numbers guy. He said when he's it's like 93.9 and up, he's like basically been untouchable. It's happened in like 5 or 6 starts. And I'm like, I think it's probably going to happen with Baltimore. Now he's going to a team that he's excited to join. They're a playoff team. The added adrenaline of how many people are filling up that ballpark. So, yeah, I like that for the case. That's a good call. I'm actually going to go with his former team with a money line just because it's plus money. I'm going with the St. Louis Cardinals tonight. Bad year for Matt Liberator, but until the Twins' offense shows me something else against left-handed pitching right now, I'm going to try and hammer that. And I was looking up their numbers against left-handed curveballs. They've been brutal, like looking at the OPS plus and the strikeout percentage, the whole deal. I like Sonny Gray, but he can walk a batter or two. Cardinals offense is actually good, and especially against right-handed pitching. So I'm going numbers heavy this time on some of the research that I did, and I'll take St. Louis. So there's your locks. Good luck to everyone on their bets tonight, and hit the bonus code FOUL. If you're new to the party on Bet MGM, sign up and deposit into your newly created account. Download the Bet MGM sports app on iOS or Android, or visit betmgm.com. Place your first bet offer and receive up to $1,000 back in bonus bets if it loses. If the bet does lose, your bonus bets will be available once the wager is settled. Always bet responsibly. Gambling problem or concern, call 1-800-GAMBLER. Okay.
The Rays won the hell out of that deal.
The Rays?
Them and the Cardinals.
Oh, you think which? Oh, you're saying
Rosarina.
Rosarina, yeah. The outfielders, and hey, for me, the Cardinals didn't trade any of their outfielders, and a lot of them were, brought up in trade rumors, like Tyler O'Neill, Dylan Carlson. Like, I think part of that has to do with them having seller's remorse, just like we talked about with the Twins. Like, how many outfielders are thriving on other teams that were traded away from the Cardinals, and I think they're scared.
True. Very true. It might be a toxic market there since Yachty left. You lose somebody that's been there for. I know Pujols, that was tragic, but Yachty was 20 years there. Again, you got Wainwright still there, but I don't know. Something might be shady in that coffee room.
Yeah, it took 6 years for the Orioles to recover after you left.
That was different. That was different. They didn't have the money. They got the money in St. Louis.
They do. You're right. The Cardinals do, and they held on to Arenado and Goldschmidt, but it's been a rough year for them. All right, so let's cover the Legends Territory episode from this week. Howard Johnson, the two-time All-Star and former Met, who talked about the Mets and some of his former teammates. We also put some pressure on him, like one big game to save your life. Prime Jack Morris or prime Doc Gooden, different, right? Like very different pitchers. But anyway, let's run a little piece of this Legends Territory from Hojo.
Yeah, so Eric slides into third base. He's kind of a pop-up slide, not dirty or anything, but just, Ray was a former Gold Gloves guy. So he was very familiar with punching. And, Eric kind of slid into him, and it was just that time of the game. It was really late. I don't remember if the game was tied or what the score was, but that might have been the winning run. And they just reacted. I mean, Ray, he was having a great season, and he just pushed all the right buttons that year, and he had it. So he boom, popped him, and it was on at that point. It was just like flat out. And we fought the Reds a lot. So if I did have to nail one thing down, that was the one team that we fought the most. Was Cincinnati. Second team would be Pittsburgh, but Cincinnati would always drill guys, and we would always fight them, and that's just the way it was. So it was just kind of an extension of the other fights.
You want some good brawl talk with Hojo? Hit up Legends Territory. Many previous episodes too, in case you want to get caught up, and it's not like you'll feel like you're falling behind. They're pretty much evergreen. You can listen to them anytime on Apple, Spotify, or hit up Legends Territory. We've got a little block for that on our YouTube channel, on FT's YouTube channel. So it's Hojo this week. We had Smolty recently, Ryan Dempster. So you get kind of a mix, guys that are more recently retired and then going back in the day, if you want to check that out. And that was him discussing that legendary fight with Ray Knight and Eric Davis and all that. I mean, they don't fight like they used to. Not even close. You watch old fight videos and you're like, oh my gosh, like I'm surprised people weren't killed from some of the punches that were thrown.
Yeah, he just went straight right hook right to the jaw from a pop-up slide. Yeah, I mean I think I've been in a couple bench clearing brawls, but they're not really brawls, right? I mean it's a bunch of like dancing around at the edge of the edge of the circle trying to find your buddy who's on the other team. But I don't know, AJ, have you been in any good ones?
Been in some good ones in the minors, and the minors are different because less security to stop it, a lot more anger because you ain't making nothing, and you was tired of that peanut butter and jelly with banana that you had prior to the game. But you can't fight like that like back in the day, and there was a lot. I mean, they were boys. There was hatred back then when they played. Now again, New York and Boston might not like each other and franchises, but the guys like each other.
Yeah.
The guys are real cool with each other. You go back 10 years, you go back even a little bit longer. Now that they hated each other. I know when you first got over there, it was hatred. When Jeter was still there, when Big Papi was still there, it wasn't go lovey dovey. We're not shaking hands. You come to Baltimore, what's up, dog?
Yeah.
You in New York, nah. You know, and that rivalry, I think it came back a little bit. You've seen it. I think San Diego and LA were having a little bit of that spat last year. Obviously the Mets have it with a lot of teams, but it's just not how it used to be. And you know, guys, like I said, guys will dance around and try and find their boy because you know no one's really trying to fight. But the best part though was it was Manoah. He wanted to fight, and he wanted to fight Cole. He told Cole to come across that Audi sign, and he didn't want none of that. And I don't blame him. You know what I mean? I don't blame him either way. But yeah, it's just not how it used to be because the big boys used to just throw haymakers.
Were you on the field for Machado, Pedroia, that whole thing?
But that wasn't anything.
And I came in for Dustin, right? Like, that didn't escalate to anything. I don't think. I mean, obviously
he got drilled.
Barnes threw up and in like behind his head, which was not a great look. But he ended up getting hit, I think, the next day. But I don't think benches ever cleared in that situation.
No. He was a Ventura though, Manny and Ventura, R.I.P. That one was.
That was a good one.
That was a good one.
There's some punches.
And did you ever see Wayne Kirby's the first one there? He's blinking red. Hey, me always say I'm blinking red. I'm ready to go.
I remember too. Greinke, I think Carlos Quentin was involved. Didn't Greinke like break his collarbone or something weird?
Yeah, Greinke went down for the little pile drive, and Carlos just busted his collarbone.
Greinke's smart. That wasn't smart.
Yeah. No.
Just go the other way. Run like the Japanese dude did when Rod Allen chased. That's one of the best videos ever. Don't do that, Greinke.
No, don't do that. I would say the top one in my mind too in recent past 10, 15 years, like everyone talks about Jose Bautista and Rougned Odor. That's like the last, in my mind, like really clear cut, like haymaker that he landed. It's like, you think of like Fight Night, the video game. It's like he got him. Like
and then he hit him with his glove afterwards.
Yeah.
People don't pay attention that he smoked with his glove. But Kevin Gregg, I think it was 2011, 10 or 11. Kevin Gregg, Big Papi, fly balls hit, and like he was throwing inside. We were getting our butts kicked, but Papi swings 3-0, flies out to me. I'm catching the ball as I'm about to throw it home. I threw it home, and as I released it, I just see Big Papi and Kevin Gregg running at each other. I threw the ball. Wieters caught the ball on the run and joined the fight.
That's a funny clip too. That's like that Kevin Gregg and David Ortiz. They just ran into each other and they were just bouncing off. It's like the big physio ball when you run into each other and bounce off. That's what they were doing. They just kept bouncing off of each other.
That was such a great clip, and Kevin Gregg missed Papi's face by just centimeters, man. And
wow.
That would have hurt. Kevin Gregg is a big dude. Papi's a big dude.
Papi is a big dude too. Hell yeah.
Gregg's bigger.
Yeah.
And different. And
built, right?
But over there different. It's like, leave me alone. Don't bother me. I'm breeding. Different.
The crazy stuff.
Big Papi, what's up, baby? How you doing? You know what I mean? He's a lover. Kevin Gregg, you don't know what's going on over there. Leave him alone.
Hey, our famous dude on this show is Tommy Canley. Like, he comes on, and he told us the other day that Mookie Betts went up to him when they recently played and was like, yo, I heard about you. I heard you're the guy that you don't mess with. And he was like, yeah.
Yeah.
Him and Realmuto said, I'll put you in a pretzel. You don't want to hear that.
And no.
Yeah.
Those are the football guys. Those are the football guys. Real Buto. I mean, I know he played quarterback, but he's a truck too. Like those dudes are built different. So,
yep.
But yeah, if you're built different and you've got a little bit of crazy, that's when you really don't want to
leave him alone.
Yeah, you leave him alone. Okay. So, all right, let's slap hands. All right, good one today. Yeah, well, let's show this. So there was a young girl. Her name's Alexa Cardona, 10 years old, and I guess there was some type of like parade. I remember when this went viral, and she threw a water balloon at a politician. And then I think there was like back and forth where the politician kind of said like, oh, the Yanks could use her. And the Yanks were like, cool, we'll invite her to Yankee Stadium. So like a fun back and forth on this one. So we can show a little bit of that because she had like a lot of velocity on that toss. And look at that smile right afterwards. Check it.
Right in the temple.
Yeah. And he like brushed it off like, yeah, that's happened before. That was a shot, right?
That was the holes right there.
Yeah. So the Yanks invited her apparently to the ballpark. So that's cool to kind of put it full circle there. I don't know if it sets the best example because like now every 10-year-old that's got a water balloon is going to be looking for politicians to be like, yo, if I chuck this at him, like I might get an invite to
Yankee Stadium.
Hey, whatever you can do to wake him up, America.
Thank you. I love it. All right, so kids, stay strong. All right, even if you can't get it done on the field, we need you in other places.
Exactly. Doing God's work.
Yes, for those parades, please take them down. Love it. Tomorrow, going to be wild. We have Lance Lynn post-trade. We had him right before he got dealt. Now we'll get him after the trade, after the good appearance there for the Dodgers the other night. Jonesy, we going 3 in a row? We got you Friday.
3 in a row, baby.
Let's go. Brockstar, we'll see you next time.
Yep, I'm taking the day off tomorrow.
Good, you need it, dude.
Yep.
You worked hard. Stretch it out.
Grinding.
All right.
Grinding.
Enjoy that bandwagon.
Yep, you got it. Go Cubbies.
See you soon. All right, we'll see everyone Friday on FT Live. Whit Merrifield also joining us as we continue the combo about the Blue Jays and some of his new teammates. See you then.